there he is, David Fornes. Follow him on Twitter at DavidFornes_. They're on Twitter and catch his work there at the South Florida Center. Good.
Hey, I lost you there at the end, Biggo. What was that?
You feeling good?
Oh, yeah. Back-to-back home wins for the Dolphins. And then now it starts to get real. You get Sunday Night Football with the Eagles, a trip to Philly. So now we'll really start to see what this team is, how it has bounced back since that Buffalo Bills loss. You got to win these types of games. And they got through the Giants and the Panthers at home like you're supposed to.
And listen, when you guys asked Tua, he was so quick to elaborate on all the stuff that, I tweeted out early in the game. Last week, they played loosey-goosey with the football. They thought they could take chances with the Giants, and they paid the price. This week, they went against an 0-5 Panthers, and they came out flat, and they got spanked for 14 straight points, and then they got their wake-up call. Human nature, bro. This is all human nature overall for this team. You know what I mean? But overall, they were able to take care of business, but once you asked Tua about the Eagles, dude, he was ready to elaborate on all of that. And you can tell that this is a team that they knew they had to take care of business, but they knew that the real business is this week.
I mean, probably like a lot of fans had one eye already looking forward to that game against the Eagles. And the way they did come out a little flat. First quarter, 14-0 against the Carolina Panthers. You're supposed to dominate them like you saw from that point forward, 35 unanswered points. And you mentioned being a little loosey-goosey with the ball, the turnovers last game, and then you almost had one early on, 3rd and 1, and was throwing that errant little lateral that was a backwards pass, and you have that situation going. So corrected those things. It wasn't necessarily anything that anyone had to make some rah-rah speech. They just got down to playing like the team they should be.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Injuries, my brother. Injuries, please. Chris Brooks, Tyreek, nothing serious there. Who else was kind of hurt?
Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker as well.
Yeah. What do we got?
Yeah, so team is still evaluating all of those. I know my colleague Chris Perkins was in the locker room. He got a hold of Brooks for a second, but he said he had to get an MRI. So he had an ankle injury late in that game, and obviously, he's getting his snaps late when the score's out of hand. So unfortunate for him. Great job making the team as an undrafted rookie. Xavier Howard, it's the groin again. We saw that last year. So now coming back up, week 6 this season. I know it was week 3 or so. It was definitely bothering him in that game against the Bengals week 4, that Thursday nighter on short rest last year. So again, groin injuries pop up for him. Jerome Baker with his back, I don't think we saw him go back in there. So injury situations that the team will have to evaluate. Tyreek Hill was just cramping issues. He said one of his calves started to cramp on that long catch and run, so he just beelined over to the sideline, which he might have been going toward anyway. Went straight to the bench and eventually to the locker room. Got that IV very quick. He said, everything he does is quick because he's a cheetah. So he got that IV very fast and was right back out there shortly thereafter.
By the way, he did it up in the arm area instead of the foot area, so he doesn't forget to put on his sock.
Oh, yeah. Which I was trying to catch from a distance. Did the TV crew get a good look at his socks? It looked like compression sleeves, but there was a gap in there. But he was wearing appropriate socks, right?
No idea. And the NFL needs to get a freaking life, bro. Come on. Get off these guys. Are you kidding me? We're finding people for the peace sign? The 60s is pissed off. Come on, peace is it's a love sign. There's no threatening in this. What's the threat in this, bro? $7,000 for a peace sign? Come on, man.
Yeah. I think our partners at Welt Rheaume would agree that these cases should be thrown out. Stop with these fines and these penalties for celebrations. So this time it was because he grabbed a prop, considered the cell phone from one of an NFL media guy that he has worked with. So again, he has a connection with the person that he was at last week.
Was that Bobby Schaus? Was that Bobby Schaus?
No. That's no.
Because I think he's the one that had the video, right? I thought it was his originated video or something like that. So who was it?
Well, it got posted by the NFL UK account. So the guy on the back of the end zone, that end line, he works with the NFL for social media. So he was posting it. Then they deleted it, but a lot of people had picked it up. A lot of people had already picked it up by then.
Okay, all right. I thought Bobby was on the sidelines watching them, so I'm going later. Oh, shit, Bob, you got this video? What the hell is it?
No, on Twitter you can pick up any video that is already posted. So a lot of accounts had already grabbed hold of it, made sure it was there for our consumption permanently after the NFL tried to delete it.
Yeah, and by the way, you could call our friends at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646, bankruptcy, criminal defense, condo damage, commercial litigation, personal injury. Leading into the Eagles, the jury is still out on the defense.
Yeah, to see them go down at Bryce Young as he's making his 6th start in the NFL, and then first couple of second and third drives, but that first quarter making him look real good, and give him credit too. He took a shot from Andrew Van Ginkel and delivered a very nice pass to Adam Thielen. It was at that point. Then they settled down, so started to rack up the stops as the Dolphins offense was also getting going, and then you go for the 35 unanswered, and finally wipe your hands with the team and accomplish what you're supposed to in a game like this. But still, a little bit concerning that you saw something like that, but also encouraging that the team did respond the way it did.
Yeah, and the Brooks injury. So you got Brooks out, you got a Chan out now, so you're down to 3. So Jake Funk could be the next guy.
Well, I'm looking. I got my eye on Jeff Wilson being activated this week because we know he was close. It was probably close. A lot of people were. Offensive coordinator Frank Smith was talking like, he looks good in practice, that he looks to be ready to go. I think Raheem Mostert as well seemed to believe he was on close. He was approaching the return. Then the team listed him as doubtful on Friday, and then obviously a Saturday did not reactivate him. So I'm looking at him if this could be the week that now he's able to return from the ribs and finger injuries. If indeed Brooks maybe needs to go on IR after, we don't know the severity of it, but then that would be a simple swap for those spots. Achan, at least, it doesn't look like it'll be longer than those 4 weeks that he's automatically out for based on being placed on IR. We saw that those reports from NFL Network and definitely NFL Network this morning, and also good. Hey, Jalen Ramsey too. We got that Adam Schefter update that he looks to be ahead of schedule. Mike McDaniel said post game too that he is doing great. So maybe sooner than later for some of these guys.
It's going to get to a point where you're not going to put somebody on the IR, and he may have to take up a roster spot. And so, because if Chris Brooks is going to be out for even 4 weeks, I don't think they'll put him on I don't think they'll put him on the IR because they can't waste a spot on the reactivation. So he may end up just taking up a roster spot. Dude, Tanner Connor took up an entire roster spot last year and did nothing. Or nothing. So it's going to happen now. The next injury, unless it's season ending, and then they don't have to worry about bringing him back. Then of course you can put him on the IR. But if it's a guy that's going to come back, I think they're at a point now where they have to. I hate either crap or get off the pot now for the guy.
Yeah, and part of that decision will be maybe even if you do think there is a chance for him to come back, but you just say, hey, just take the rest of the year off because we won't have that freedom to be able to bring you back, because it's the 8 that you have as a max is the reactivations. Obviously you could put however many you need to on IR. So then if it's a situation where he could maybe make it to the end of the year, then that's one thing to consider. But then you may just have to say from that point, hey, we got to call it for the year on you, because there won't be a spot to bring you back late in the year.
Yeah, and the difference now with the Dolphins, I was talking about this before you came on, Darrington Evans, the guy that the Bears took from the Dolphins, was the 3rd leading rusher today.
Oh, wow.
9 for 32. He had more carries than their 3rd round pick. So 9 for 32 is modest, but it shows you that they just got him off the practice squad from some other team, and he's their third leading rusher, today, a week later. So, and that obviously people are even looking at Miami's talent on their practice squad now. So they're stealing their plays and they're stealing their players.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also goes to show you that I think in this offense, probably there are a lot of running backs that you could just insert, and this offensive line, this run game, the way it's set up, they'll make it work. So Raheem Mostert was phenomenal today and showed that this run game is still going to work even when Achan's out. So great game from him. And then if Jeff Wilson is indeed in line to return next week, then you'll get that 1-2 punch that you imagined from the beginning. Then you had Achan become this revelation where he is just the top phenom in the league. But then if Wilson's coming back, you still have Ahmed in the mix too, who had a strong camp. So still be a strong run game for the Dolphins.
You are prone to ask the tough question, which is one of the things I really like about you. How many times has it been broached with Mr. Jalen Waddle that in order to be an elite receiver, you can't have that many drops? And at his level, I think he has too many drops. What do you think about that? Has that been kind of talked to? Have you guys asked him about his drops and how habitual it is for an elite receiver?
Not too much of it. I mean, I haven't noticed it to be to the point where it's that necessary with him. Obviously, he has his drops, and yeah, sometimes you see it from the best of them. Tyreek Hill has had his fair share of drops. Sometimes it's tougher when guys are just moving so fast, and if you're coming back to a ball and the ball's and Tua throws a very catchable ball too, so that should not make it any excuse, but. Yeah, it'll be something to monitor. I think if it gets to the point where it's really serious and costing the team something, then it may have to come up.
He lost the game last year with the 2 drops that he had in one game. That
in the playoff game, you're saying, or when?
That one pretty much swung the game alone with the 2 plays that he made with those drops. It changed the face of that game, and he had too many drops for the level of player that he can be. It's too many, I think. That's the kind of the way I look at it. I don't know how you guys look at it, but that's something I think. I wonder if he talks about it, because he's got to be aware of it. There's no doubt he's got to be aware of it, that it does happen a little too much.
Sorry, I lost you there for a second, but you were talking about, was it the playoff game last year, his drops, or which game?
It was I want to say it was what was it, Bengals last year?
Bengals.
Which game was it? I'm trying to think of the game where he had 2 brutal drops.
Well, definitely the playoff game, Skylar Thompson threw a great ball to him deep, and dropped it early.
But I'm thinking of another game. Was it the Vikings game, Josh? Was that it? Yeah, he changed the face of a game with 2 plays. Now, I'm brain farting, but I'm pretty sure one of those games last year, because we talked about it, that, yeah, he just has a little too many drops, for my liking, for the level of player he is. All right, again, we don't get to really watch everything, but Eichenberg, his play overall, I thought only the tip passes were the only things that I could hurt him for if I said, okay, I got to nitpick, bro, you got to punch that chest and bring those arms down.
Yeah, and tip passes. I wonder how much you even put on the line. I think if you do get driven back, then it is an easier angle. Obviously, if you're closer to the passer, then it is easier to get your hands on that ball. But yeah, I mean that I on tip balls, I really like to give credit to the defender in those situations, because like when Ogbo was doing it a couple of years ago, that's a lot of anticipation and getting into a passing lane. A blocker, obviously, he has to react to where the pass rusher is going, and then when you're downhill run blocking, that's when you can really get to maybe moving guys in that way. But Liam, hey, I wasn't watching Liam too closely. I checked in with my colleague Chris, who was trying to focus on that for one of the items he was writing. And at one point early, he said, I mean, he's been fine, nothing too bad there. So we'll look more into it as the week goes on, but at least not to the point where, like that Buffalo game, where just you lost the anchor on the offensive line when Connor Williams wasn't in there. So at least the offense was still churning with him in there this time, his second.
Well, I saw him actually. He was key in a couple blocks where there were some really nice runs, overall. No, he did a good job today overall. The hands up, the only reason why I explained it is, Tua's going to get rid of the ball quickly. So part of your job is, obviously, you got to make the right calls. You got to snap the ball, and then you've got to react quickly. And that first thing, you got to punch that chest, because when you punch that chest, it's hard for you to keep your hands up when somebody is punching your chest. So he might have taken a little long to punch that chest, and you need to do it early because the ball is gone early. Once you're in the 2 or 3 seconds, now you can get into mauling completely, because Tua probably got rid of the ball or something along those lines. But again, that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
Because you are right also, okay? It's not all his fault either. You have to also give credit to the defender. But there are things that offensive linemen can do to deter those things, and punching in the chest is absolutely imperative to do that, because just think about it. You try to raise your hand and somebody hits you in the chest, what's going to happen? You're going to fold down, right? And so it's going to lower. And so that's kind of part of the technique of it. And so those are little nuances. Again, game playing center.
Yeah. And those are things that should be consistent across the offensive line. So just because you're moving from tackle guard to center, that's not something that's different. That's across the board, something that you do technique wise.
You are correct. All right, what else you got going on in Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, actually, I was there for Tyreek Hill's press conference, so I'm going to write a little thing about his celebration, and also working the cramping situation. How he's got to get that right. So we're writing about Tyreek Hill, finishing off his game coverage as the team got over that 14-0 hole, got through these games. Now they head to Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles, and we really start to learn more about this team moving forward.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Fornes _ and call our friends at Welt Rheaume anywhere in South Florida, even out of South Florida. 954-966-4646. Great sponsors and great foundation for our show. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You got it. There you go, David Fornes. He will join us again on Tuesday. So, or maybe later on, like Thursday or Friday, actually, is when he'll join us. And we'll get ready for the Sunday night game.
This is the Big O Show. This is the